I think for most faith-based individuals, Christians, etc., you first need to make your peace with money. I think a lot of faith-based
Mm,
people have a lot of money hangups. I think more than people of the world, we have the biggest hangup on money. And so I am so glad the way that God has led me, because when people try to bring some of these negativity about money, I always use my own self as an example, because you can't tell me that I haven't been involved. Like I said, I served as a missionary for years, or on a stipend. I've traveled to over 26 different countries. We have planted churches in some of the poorest places of this earth. We personally finance outside of our pastoral duties. My personal ministry is not in the pulpit. My personal ministry is outside the pulpit. So we
mm.
sponsor people who are working with Muslim populations. We
Right.
sponsor people who are working with orphans. We do all of that. So here's what I tell them: the more money you have is the more good you can do.
Mm,
And let that sink in. Because here's
mm.
the thing: the gospel is free, but it is not, it is free to the recipient, but it costs
Yeah.
money to get it there.
All right. Hey, you're now in with the Lion and the Lambo podcast. I'm your host, Lionel Mosby Jr. Want to thank you for joining us wherever you may be listening. Of course, we're on every streaming platform. And if you want to catch the visual experience, you can catch us over on YouTube. And man, I have somebody on today that I'm so excited to have a conversation with, because he has literally spoken into my life, even though he may not have literally spoken to me, but through just the things that he's doing, some of the products that he's provided to the marketplace, it has actually blessed my life and my experience. And so I have Pastor Chance on with me today. How you doing, sir? How is everything going for you right now?
Lionel, man, I'm glad to be here. I appreciate what you are doing. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast. You are making a difference, brother. I'm saying you are speaking into my life as well, and a topic that resonates much with me. So I'm glad to be here.
Man, look, I'm so excited. You don't understand. Like I have a story, right? I
Mhm.
remember a couple years ago. I don't know if it was like 5 or 6 years ago or so, and I was talking with a good brother, Pastor London Lee. We was having a good conversation. One day we were out just sharing books, with some people out, and I was actually giving him some books so him and his family could take. And we were just talking about different things about this combination of like business and ministry and all that stuff. And he was like, man, I got a book that you need to read. Okay. He told me about this book and he told me about this presentation. And the book was from R.L. Chance. Okay. He's like, you need to read this book. And after I went and got that book, and I entered into a whole new realm and a whole new world, and found out that there's other people who actually think similar to me. Like I'm not crazy, okay?
Yes, indeed.
And it was so interesting to see somebody talking about these things and about using your skills, your expertise. First of all, the fact that everybody has a level of expertise and a
That's it.
level of skill that they could use and actually monetize. This is not
Yeah.
something you should just push on the side. Man, it was amazing, right? It was so amazing, and so that's why I say I'm so happy to have you on,
Praise
because
God,
it's
brother.
it's really been it's really been a blessing. But I always ask every single guest, the first question out the gate is always, man, what is your biggest win to date as an entrepreneur? If you just have to say, name one thing, right? I know you may have many wins,
Many.
right? But if you say, okay, this is what I would say my biggest win to date as an entrepreneur, what would you say that is?
Well, I would say honestly, like you said, there are many, right? And many come to mind. But I would say number one thing is actually what you said, is that every one of us can actually monetize our skills. Because that
Mm,
liberates you when you realize that,
yeah.
because here's the thing. Of course, there are many business opportunities, there are many ways in which one can make money. But for me, when you realize that you don't have to go searching and seeking for something, or
Yeah.
trying somebody else's method or strategy, whereas you have been gifted by God uniquely, individually, and that
Mm,
everyone has it. So all you need then is a system that you can use to get your stuff to market. Like that, like
mm,
to me, that is revolutionary, because I know that as long as I have breath in my body, then
mm.
something that I can do to be able to earn income and to make a difference in this world.
Wow, that's powerful. And I mean, I think that's a complete mindset shift for a lot of people, because a lot of people, and even people that we may look at them and say, we clearly see skill, we clearly see
Yes,
ability that these
indeed.
individuals have, but those individuals will look at themselves and say, honestly, I have no idea not only what I should do, I don't understand my purpose, I don't know what God wants me to go in my life, like, but like you're saying, it is something that's evident, that is already within us,
Yes,
that God
indeed.
has
Sir.
given us. And it's not only important, what I've come to understand is not just important so that it can take care of us, but that thing that God has given us actually is supposed to be something that actually we can use to impact other people with
That's
as
right.
well.
That
Yes,
is
sir.
one. That's 100, man. And so for me, like you said, monetize your skills is based on the idea that again we all have skills, gifts, and talents. So that's what we call it. When we say skills, actually I use three E's, right? Your education, expertise, and experiences, because experience
Okay.
is a skill as well. So, for example, we might have people have gone through. So this will also again break people down by knowing that listen, I got something. So let's say that okay, I can't identify I don't have education, right? I don't have academic credentials. No problem. And let's say you don't feel like you're an expert in something. Okay, no problem. But every one of us have some type of experience. All of
Right.
those are skills. So in other words, you take somebody who have gone through divorce, for example,
Right.
maybe an unpleasant situation, someone who might have been sick from something but was able to find healing. Those people can take that experience and indeed monetize it, because especially who do you want to learn from? Sometimes we say, well, I want to learn from the people who are just expert. Not only do I want to learn from people who know how to do something, I also
Right.
want to learn from the people who have made mistakes and can
Yeah.
now help you not to make those mistakes. So we need to both know what to do but also what
Mm.
not to do. So for example, I would rather a book for people who are going through divorce from somebody who's been through divorce.
Mm.
You understand? So now they can take that and turn that. They can be the
Right.
counselors and help people now to win at the second go round. For
Right.
example, someone who was overweight or battle with weight issues, if they have lost weight successfully, they can become the best coach for somebody who is doing that. So now, how
Right.
can they monetize their skills? Multiple ways. They can write a book about it. They can teach a course about it. They can coach somebody about it. They can teach a class about it. They can do so many
Mm.
different things with it. And so that's what we are talking about when we say monetize your skills, your gifts, your
Mm.
talents, education, etc.
Wow, that's awesome. The three E's: education, expertise,
And
experience. I
experience.
like it. I like how you broke that down right there, because all of us have one of these. Most of us have multiple, right?
Multiple. There we go.
Multiple of these. But
Yeah.
even if we only have that experience, right? That experience is powerful and it's unique to just you and only you, right? There's nobody
Yes.
else who has the same experience as you. But I want to kind of go back, right? Because I know now, right? You're Mr. Monetize your skills, I would call you, right? But I want to kind of know, where did this thought process and mindset originate, right? When was the first time that you realized for yourself, right, that you know what, I have something in me that I can actually monetize? I don't have to, like you say, go out and grab hold of something else. There's something within me that God has placed there that I can use to share and monetize.
Well, that's a very good question. I think, well, let's just go back a few years. I think one of the challenge when I was in the military, I
Mm-hmm.
used to love the internet. I mean, I just thought it was fascinating, and I used to dabble here and there, because then I saw people was actually making money on the internet. So,
Mm-hmm.
I would just play around with different stuff, try this affiliate type of stuff. We never really did anything major with it, but it was just an interesting idea to me at the time.
Okay.
So in about I got out the military, of course, and then around 2010, I was a missionary, as you know, and so you live off of a stipend, and so therefore it's like, listen, I need some extra funds to help out here. So I start going back to that very same thing online, and I realize I'm like, hold on, man, there's a lot of people actually making money for real, for real, for real.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started trying affiliate marketing, and I promoted a product for a gentleman who was doing a project launch at the time. And I remember just sharing one post on Facebook, and even the first sale that it happened, and he gave me $1,000. I said, hold on, man, this thing. So that right there, that was the beginning. I went to register a business. I went to register a ministry, all of it at the same time because I'm like, I have found something. So I started going around teaching. I started going to local university, Alabama A&M there, and I would have little classes here in Huntsville. I would do a little workshop. And then I realized now, without knowing it, because I was starting to write books and so forth, I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I'm writing books, I'm making a little something on there, but when I teach about writing books, I'm making way more.
Mm,
So that's was what but I didn't take it as a business though, because like I said, I was fully involved in mission work. So, but this
right.
became now my supplemental, right? When I needed an extra something, car breakdown, if I didn't have money, then I would go and, put in a little hustle. So I
Right.
say that also because I want to encourage somebody here. I believe that, of course, entrepreneurship is not for everybody. Let's just be frank. We want more people. So here's what I say. Everyone should be entrepreneurial. Everybody might not be an entrepreneur, but we all should be entrepreneurial. Meaning
Mm-hmm.
that because you got bills, you better find
Right.
a way to make some extra funds one way or the
Right.
other because our paycheck simply don't cut it. So that's kind of what propelled me into this space is having the experience of that
Mm,
$1,000 a day and then being able to now just I guess by accident seeing how I was doing it. And I'm like, hold on. I'm not taking all these courses. I'm not doing all this stuff. I'm not trying this MLM or anything like that.
right.
I'm making from me, from what is here.
Mm.
Yeah.
Wow. So I want to ask you, right, because you were going about. You said you started writing books, but then you said, "Man, I looked and saw that when I was teaching people about how to write their book, I was actually making more doing that than
Yeah.
I actually doing writing my book." So in my mind, I can just hear people saying though they're stuck at the I don't even know if I should teach people to write the book type of thing, right? Because they're looking like, well, I did kind of write one book, but I don't know if I could. I don't know if I feel comfortable, right,
Yeah.
teaching somebody else. For you, I guess, was that something that was just natural in you that you kind of were just doing it, sporadically, not really thinking about, well, I'm the expert at writing a book, or like, how did you get to that point where you can do that? Because for a lot of people out here, they're really fear right moving to that next step or really diving in and teaching something,
Mhm.
right, or even though
Yeah.
it's something that they know or they experience, they kind of have this fear of now sharing that with other people.
Yeah. The way I can put it is this way. Every one of us can teach. Again, is mindset, right? The
Mm.
problem is when we try to teach things we don't know. See, I never even have to call myself an expert. Other people will tell you that you are, because I'm like, so in other words,
Mm.
you teach what you know, what comes naturally, what is easy to you. So for
Right.
example, like I said, I'm in the faith-based space as well. So I always do I like to talk, I like to preach, I like to, get up and say things. So speaking itself is not the issue. But even when I preach on the things that are of importance to me, that I'm
Right.
studying, that I'm reading, that God is putting on my heart. I don't go preaching all kind of stuff. That's why we have multiple preachers. So I believe that if you would focus on the thing that is again based in your gift set, in your natural
Mm.
talents and abilities that God gave you, then it becomes easier both to write, to speak, whatever it is, it becomes easier because that's who you are. You can just talk about it. So for
Mm.
example, we might say, somebody might not feel they're an expert or they can teach something, but let's say you ask them about one of their passion or their hobby or something. They're gonna, because I meet even introverted people, but when you get into their thing that they
Right.
really love, boy, they go forever. You catch what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
that's what we are saying is get into the thing that tickles your soul, tickles your heart, that
Mm.
makes you want to talk about, and focus on that, because that's what this monetizing your skills is all about. It's not
Mm.
you trying to be somebody else, it's you trying to be. So I can be the best version of me, you
Right.
know, like you and I just
Right.
have a conversation now. It's just flow. We're just talking, but I can respond to you because you are talking about something that I am doing. And that's something
Mm.
that I'm aware of. So it's the same thing if I'm talking about you and your family, for example, you know all about your family. Matter of fact,
Right.
that's why I wrote my first book, right? I wrote my first book on me. I had that revelation too. I started writing the pieces of my story,
Mm.
way back when. And so, but I went to a training school in California, and it was over Thanksgiving. I had this idea because I'm like, hold on, if I'm writing about me, I don't need research. I don't need all this long things that they say you need to write a book. It's my story.
Right. Right,
I
right.
took 5 days. It was a Thanksgiving break from school. I took 5 days and wrote my book in 5 days.
Mm,
The actual writing of it. It took me
right,
5 years to bring it to life because I was trying to do all these different things and thought that this is what is needed for a book. I was learning the cover, I was learning how to do graphics, I was
right,
learning
right.
every single thing. When I realized, no, just get the book to life. Because
Mm,
people were asking me my testimony. So it's like God was just saying, brother, right? Start with that first. Start with you, the
right.
story of you. 5 days the book was written.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's quick. That is super quick for 5 days. But like you say, you're writing on something that you knew about is yourself, right? So
Exactly. Exactly.
so it makes it really easy. So that was the first book you wrote was on your testimony.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And
Yeah.
and now how many books do you have written now at this point in your life?
I have 13. I have
Wow, 13.
13.
Okay.
My
That's a
goal is
lot
to
of
get
books.
100.
Wow. So
My
your
goal is
goal
to
is to
get
write
100.
100 books.
100 books. And I would say, and okay, let's talk about a little bit here on how people can make money. Okay, so we can understand because we don't want you to feel like it's only books. So
Uh-huh.
there are multiple ways, as we are saying, right? We're not talking about
Mhm.
a job now. We are talking about there are many ways. So let's
Right.
just break down a few of them.
Okay.
I like to start with these publishing because it's also a form of passive income, right? You get
Mm,
royalties, right? This is you write
okay.
it once, you get paid ongoing, provided of course people buy it. But that's why we say produce more. Don't get stuck on the one. There's not one movie, there's multiple movies, right? And they
Mm,
keep doing version one, part two, part three, etc., etc.
good
You get
point.
the
Good point.
idea.
Right, right.
So I say here's a chain of ways in which you can make money. Publishing, which encompasses several things. Number one is writing a book. Writing a
Mm,
book is very good because writing a book gets the idea out of your mind, and then that creates the framework for the other things.
mm,
So from there, you create an online course. But what is your online course about? The very same thing, the book that you wrote. Then you do
mm,
coaching or consulting, right? Then you can have workshops or certifications. So from one product, you
right.
can have from one idea, you can have 6, 7 different products from there. Then you
Mm,
can launch into, of course, the internet space. We're talking about internet marketing, affiliate marketing. We're talking
okay.
about running ads, Facebook, YouTube, whatever the case may be. Find one of those outlets where there's multiple amount of monies to be made in all of those spaces. So right
Mm,
there, you have about 9 different ways in order to make money. But
right,
I'm saying if you monetize you will notice that this is the way that people are making money because we have just overlooked it. So think of
right.
Les Brown. Anybody knows Les Brown out there? Or,
Yes.
or
Hmm.
Ziegler, who passed away now,
Hmm.
or Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
Well, if we ask why is Tony Robbins wealthy, many people will say he has. But notice, Tony Robbins, does he have books? Yes,
Yeah.
multiple.
Turn out
That's
the
how
books.
we've
Yeah.
been introduced to him. We have been
Yeah.
introduced to Tony Robbins, Zig Ziglar, and all of these famous people through their books and their tapes, right? Their audio programs. So
Right.
there you go. That was the source. The book became that. And then they have workshop, man. You can go to Tony Robbins stuff, walk on fire, do all this stuff. How many of you have gone to conferences? Well,
Right.
you're looking at people monetizing their skills by their speaking engagement. So that's
Mm,
another thing that you can add on to your monetization skills right there is
mm.
speaking. But what are you going to speak about? Your book. Because here's the thing. After, have you gone to one of these big seminars? What happens after the speaker speaks? They go
They
to the back table, meet me at the back table,
right.
and they
Exactly.
sell their products, right?
Right.
Exactly. So I used to tell speakers, I said, listen, many of you are speaking and you don't have a book, you don't have any coaching program. So you are leaving money on the table. That's what we said.
Right. Right. Right.
Monetize it all. So when you give a speech, that's just like an introduction, pulling people in. The people might have paid you to speak at the program, but when they call you to the back now you can sign them up for your $5,000 coaching program, 10,000,
Mm,
whatever it may be, even if it's 1,000. But if you were paid, let's say $500 to give a speak, which you should never do. I mean, you should be paid more than that. But I'm just saying, depending on, let's
mhm.
say you were paid $500 to speak, but then you make an extra 1,000 in the back of the room, you just made $1,500.
Right. Right.
Right? That can take care of a big bill and a mortgage for most people here. So I'm just giving those little numbers so that folks
Mhm.
can work with. But when you multiply that out, there you go. So from that, for example, I give you an example of this. This book here is about, $10 to $15, right? So if I need to make 1,500 of these, I gotta sell a whole lot of it.
Right. Right.
Don't
Right.
get me wrong. But The online cost to this now is what? $500. So
Mm.
if I wanted to make
Yeah.
15,
It's
I only
three.
sell, there we go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then now people say, hey, you know what? I can learn on my own, but I want you to do it with me. Okay, no
Right.
problem. So I coach you for a period of 6 weeks or 100 days. I don't go over 100 days because I like people to get it in a short time. I think, so everybody's model is different. For me, I have other things going on. So I don't coach
Right.
anybody beyond 100 days.
Right.
So but that is another cost. But what am I coaching you on? This very same thing. And then
Right.
other
Right.
people
Right.
have me come and speak at their church at different places, and I don't charge for most of the nonprofits. But if it's a business or something like that, then you would charge, right? But even with the church or somebody invite me like that, I said no problem. You can count it as a donation. So in other words, you
Mm.
need to pay me, but that is counted now as a donation to you. So you see how you are even doing good
Right.
while
Right.
also making funds.
Mm.
That's the idea there, brother. So I like books because the book is never one thing. The book is
Mm.
always leading to something else. But for me, the
Gotcha.
way I think, my thought process is if I can get it in a book, it gives me the map,
Right.
from the journey from A to B. And then now I
Mm.
can turn that into a course and then coaching, consulting, and speaking.
That makes sense because it's like now you're really dealing with it, like you said, you leave money on the table because there's different people that need to learn different ways too.
Voila.
So if you got people that say, well, the book is good, but man, if I could like just watch videos of him talking what's in the book, that would be exactly what I need. But if you don't have the course, then you left that on the table. Or man, if I could just ask these specific questions, right, and have him walk with me, you kind of left that on the table. So it's and I guess I'm saying that
Yeah.
because I wanted to ask you this question too, because I feel like, especially this audience and a lot of people who are watching this, right, come from a Christian background, and right, and there's kind of this thought process around money and finances and stuff.
Yeah.
They'd be looking to say, well, why would I charge this for this thing when I'm charging this for this, right? You
Hmm.
know, how would you answer that? That inquiry for somebody who's saying, yeah, I mean, I know I'm monetizing this thing, but man, I kind of feel like I'm charging too much, or I kind of feel like maybe I'm getting over on somebody, right? Because I'm charging this for the course or for my coaching, but I'm charging this for the book, right? Like, how
Yeah.
would you kind of answer somebody that kind of is having that wrestle within their mind? Because there are many people out there who are wrestling with things like this.
Yeah, I think for most faith-based individuals, Christians, etc., you first need to make your peace with money. I think a lot of faith-based
Mm,
people have a lot of money hangups. I think more than people of the world, we have the biggest hangup on money. And so I am so glad the way that God has led me, because when people try to bring some of these negativity about money, I always use my own self as an example, because you can't tell me that I haven't been involved. Like I said, I served as a missionary for years, or on a stipend. I've traveled to over 26 different countries. We have planted churches in some of the poorest places of this earth. We personally finance outside of our pastoral duties. My personal ministry is not in the pulpit. My personal ministry is outside the pulpit. So we
mm,
sponsor people who are working with Muslim populations. We
right.
sponsor people who are working with orphans. We do all of that. So here's what I tell them: the more money you have is the more good you can do.
Mm,
And let that sink in. Because here's
mm,
the thing: the gospel is free, but it is not, it is free to the recipient, but it costs
yeah.
money to get it there. You think when we go on a mission trip, you think Delta Airlines is saying, oh, y'all are doing such a wonderful work for the Lord. Here is a free airline ticket. No, not only that, you can't go into those areas and just say, oh, we bring the love of God to you. No, they're saying, listen, we have needs, right? A school costs to build a church, to do an evangelistic series. It costs money, a whole lot of
Yeah.
money. So that's
Yeah.
what we realize, is that God has no problem with money. Money is a man-made construct that we are hung up on it. So
Yeah.
money is a blessing in the hands of good people. Money
Mm,
just accentuates who you already are. If you are a good person at heart, money
mm,
allows you to do more good things. And if you're an evil person, money allows you to do a whole lot more of it. So that's how you can balance that in a simple way. So directly now to the answer. First of all, you got to make your peace, because if you make your peace with money, you wouldn't feel that you are overcharging anybody. And the second simple way is look at what others are charging, because you don't want to undercharge yourself. Matter of fact, I think you
Great
do the
point.
industry a disservice if everybody, let's say, for example, give a speech. If everybody's charging 5,000 and you come in and say you're going to charge 2,000, you're not undercutting the market. You are cheapening the service. Charging
Mm.
less than, way less than. So you want to
Yeah.
come at least there, right, and above. But you never
Mm.
want to go way below. That's not. And by the way, nobody ever makes a business prosperous and successful by being the cheapest in the market, right? Because
Mm.
you have to work that much more, and you need. So I tell people there's a
Yeah.
strategy for everybody when we talk about how to market. My model is this. Yeah, I want to charge high because I don't like. I'm an introvert by nature as well. Yes, I learned how to be extroverted because of my military background, and most of the time I'm put in leadership position. But at the core, I am an introvert. I don't like to work with a lot of people.
Mm.
So that's why I also and here's the thing, it works better for me because to me I find it the same amount of work. So if you want to make $1
Yeah.
million, you can sell, for example, $1 toothpaste and sell $1 million worth of it. I don't want to do that. I don't like the large volume stuff. I would rather even take my time and sell maybe a $500,000 car, for example, and just sell two. I would
Right.
take my time for the whole year and sell two, whereas you can sell a whole million cases of toothpaste. That's
Mm-hmm.
but you get to the same destination. So
Mm.
to me, like I said, books, even most of my books, I use them as a marketing tool. I personally, is people buy my books on Amazon, but I really
Right.
don't sell them. I use them as a marketing tool. So I give you an
Mm.
example again. Let's take this same one. As the author of this book, it cost me about $4 to print it.
Okay.
So if I spend $400 on this and I sent this out to 100 people already, now it cost me how much? 400,
$4.
400.
$400. Yeah.
I sent it to 100 people for free. Hey, you know what, Lionel, man, I love what you are doing on your podcast. Here's a book. I think your audience will resonate with it. Now, if from there I get 10 people to buy my course, now 10
Mm.
times 5 is how much? There we go.
Yeah.
I
That's
made
that's yeah.
$5,000.
$5,000. Yeah.
Right? So let's even break, even if I got 2 people to take the course, I made a
Yeah.
thousand dollars. I just profited $600.
Yeah.
That's the model that I use.
Mm.
Furthermore, if I do the coaching, then it's even more. But even if I got,
Yeah.
so even if I have to send out 100 of these to get one client, it's better than selling 100 of these and so
Right.
forth. Don't get me wrong. So that's one way. So you notice again the leverage. So
Right.
you can sell the book. So I teach people also when I teach about publishing, I show them that in the marketing piece. I say, there's several models. One is you
Mm-hmm.
can sell a whole lot of the items, which I don't recommend. But if you have a platform already, you're a speaker, like one minister friend of mine, that was his thing, but he was able to, he
Mm-hmm.
liked to speak and he gets booked at a lot of youth events, etc. So
Right.
when he
Right.
finishes his talk, he can sell 100 books in the back of the room. That works for him. I don't like that model again because again it takes a lot. I like to
Right.
see. I don't mind a lot of transaction coming through PayPal, but I don't like them to say 99 cents. I like them to say
Right. Right. Right.
more than that. That makes me more happy. Plus, I give of my time more when people pay more.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean? You feel better because you don't want to ever charge a price where you feel like, man, they get over
Mm-hmm.
you either. Okay. So balance it out, check what the market is charging and charge
Mm.
at least close to what the market is charging or above.
Right.
Trust me, when you also charge more, you will attract a different type of clientele.
Mm.
Lionel, interestingly, people who pay me what I ask for, I never have a discussion with them about money. Never,
Mm. Mm.
never. It is the people who, when the price is even cheap, they want, oh, can I get a discount, man? Can I,
Right.
what I mean? Can you cut me a deal on this? And it's
Right.
really weird because, but anything that I have offered at $1,000 or more, I have never, ever, ever had one person ever say this was too much.
Right.
Never. But
Right.
contrary, it is, and interestingly, it is the prices below $100. People, oh man, can you cut me a deal? So you attract a different type of
Right.
clientele. If you're going to be in coaching, especially, you want to deal with the higher the price. And lastly, to make $1 million is sell 1,000 people something that costs 1,000. So it makes
Right.
it easier to really track whether or not you can make $1 million. All you
Right.
need to do is create a series of products or one coaching program that is $1,000, and your job will be to sell 1,000, and you've made $1 million bucks.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. So really it's like if you can just create that based on the model that you're sharing with us and talking about today, if you can
Yeah.
create the book actually is the framework for you to actually create everything else. So
Yes,
just
sir.
focus on the book. Focus on whether that's the education, the experience, the expertise, or the experience, whatever it is, and then make that book, right? And from there, you got the framework to make everything else on the scale up.
That's right. That's right.
Okay. Because I
And
think
those
that's
who
the
don't
hardest
like
thing.
books,
Go ahead.
those who don't like books, I say reverse engineer. But I always advocate for starting with the book because it disciplines you to really get, your thoughts out there. However, though, for people who are already gifted or who love to speak, let me not say gifted because some people feel like, oh, they're exceptional. That's not what I mean when I say gifted. I mean that you have a talent, you have a gift, you have something God give you. But let's just say you can speak or you can share. You can reverse engineer it. So now if you're already speaking, take your speech and turn it into the book. Okay.
Okay. Now you're talking spicy. Now you're
There we
talking.
go. Take the speech,
Okay.
turn it into a book. And not, because again, the book is because here's the thing. A lot of people contact me who I don't even know because most of the time they find your book somewhere. Somebody gave
Right.
them a book. And so that's why you want to have that piece there. And plus it brings in a little passive income, but it's like your best business card, right? So I don't use business cards. I say
Right.
my books are my business cards.
Right.
And so that's something that you really want to consider. And books, again, don't think of the hard way. That's what I'm saying. I've now learned about at least 8 different ways in order to write a book. I just shared with you several. So one is, of course, you do it the regular way. Number two is you convert a speech, or like this podcast. You can interview
Right.
10 people on a topic and then take those, and those become 10 chapters in a book. And that's a book right there. Okay. Then you can also use your academics. For those of you who are already in academics, that's why I love some of the academics too, because most of the time people do a dissertation or a thesis and it sits in a university library somewhere and nobody ever reads it beyond that. I say
Facts.
take your dissertation and turn it into a book or a course. You spend all that money and years on there. That's
That's
what I did
facts.
with my master's project, right? And my book, I have a book on prayer. Lionel, that was a paper that I did in school several moons ago. I had an assignment to write on prayer. I had 27 pages worth of my assignment. So when I was trying to write a book on prayer, it came back. And guess what I did? I went back and I took that particular thing and I, of course, built on there. But by the time you put it into a book format, it actually was sufficient for a full book. So you can take some of your school assignments that you've done. I
Right.
recently launched a book on a pen name, and that was actually even way back on undergraduate days. My one of course that I took on psychology,
Okay.
introduction to psychology. I had a paper to do, and I actually turned that book into. I turned the exact paper. I actually turned into a smaller book, and then I created an audio book out of it. And I put it on the pen name because I was releasing 3 books that year, so I didn't want them to compete with each other. But you see, that was already written. And so there we go. Share your
Wow.
testimony. Your testimony, you can write a testimony if you want to write a book about yourself. Share it with somebody, have it transcribed, and turn it into a book. So there you go. You have several options right there on
Wow.
being able to. And that's the way you write a book fast, by the way. I did a book in 1 hour. And my book on the one that we did on transition to civilian life, which is for veterans, how to use again your military education and training to create a business in 90 days.
Wow.
So I had a friend of mine, he had finished his PhD. I said, Doc, what are you doing, man? Like, take your stuff and put it in a book. And I said, well, let's work together. And so we did. But I said, for my portion, that's what I did. I outlined the book. I stuck the piece of paper, a paper. I actually have it right in this closet over here still. I put it in a legal shape paper. I posted on there and I just spoke. That's what we say. I always do things that I'm good at, that
Right.
I love to do and talk about. because they come most natural and easier for
Right,
me.
right, right,
So I'm not trying to write any book or anything that is way left field or out of my zone. I only write
right.
about things that interest me because it comes naturally, and that's how I get to churn. Now you know my secret. That's how I can churn out books very quickly because
Wow.
based on what I know. But today you don't need all of the traditional ways, man. You can get a book up on Amazon tonight if you had the outline
Right,
already.
right, right.
Yeah,
No, that's powerful because I got one book published. I did a poetry book, so I actually got
awesome.
that
I remember
published.
that.
Yeah, yeah, and I published it through Amazon as well. And I guess I kind of felt like you a little bit. It took me 5 years. It was like 2 years, but after I was done, I realized like I should have really been done with this like a year and 8 months ago. Like it
Yeah,
really shouldn't have took me
yeah,
as long as it took me. So I know the next one I do is gonna be way quicker. It's gonna be, and you gave me so many ideas right now. But like, man, I probably got a couple books already.
you sure do. You sure,
Yeah.
you sure do.
I just got to tap into it, and just get. And I guess that's the thing, of really looking and saying that those things that you have or that you have done are valuable to for you and to other people. I
That's
think a
right.
lot of times we lessen the value of, say, even this podcast, like we say, right? We say, well, we look at it and say, well, the views isn't where I want it to be. But the information that's provided, right? The
Yes, sir.
lessons that you are teaching in it, though, man, that could literally empower one person to go and literally change their whole life just off saying, you know what, I'm gonna go write a book and create a course and do a coaching program based on what I know, and change that young man, that young woman's life just off
Well
that
said.
thing.
Well
So,
said.
so, so it's like the value doesn't necessarily need to be in, and I guess that goes back to what I was talking about the price, right? Sometimes we look at, I had to change my mind. I used to do
Yeah,
video
yeah,
photography back in the day, and I used to continually crunch my numbers and like, man, I gotta be affordable for all these people. And you're right, you kept dealing with all these people who, kept having issues with payment. But the
yeah.
reality is, I had to start realizing, like, when I'm doing this video for this business, I have to think about this one piece of media for this business is going to make them literally thousands upon thousands of dollars because it's solving some problem that they need, right?
That's right.
And now I need to charge based on the problem I'm solving. I don't need to charge based on where I'm trying to crunch my numbers to make me feel, because they probably have no problem. It's me making me feel like,
That's what it
oh,
is.
it's such
That's
an
exactly what
internal
it is.
thing that comes as pricing ourselves. But
Yeah,
like you say, you're not even going to be seen as the best if your price is the lowest in the first
that's
place,
right.
even
That's
if you
right.
are the best.
That's right. Listen,
So
man, what you said there, brother, is worth gold in so many ways. And I'm glad you brought it out, man. We have to begin seeing our gifts and talents from multiple lenses because, yeah, of course, you want to have, for example, this podcast, like you said, you want to have all the views that you can. But if you only look at that as to why you are doing it, then you're missing the bigger picture
mm-hmm.
because the impact and for your mission can start with a few, but even a
Yes,
few can be the thing that you need. But if you can change one person's life, indeed you have made
yes,
a lasting impact. And that's the subtitle of my book here. It's about
mm.
not just monetizing the skill, but it's how you can make a lasting impact. Hopefully by doing
Mm.
that you can fund your dreams, yes, and sustain your god-given mission, message, or cause,
Hey,
right? That's what we
amen.
want. But again, folks, think about this. Even if you say you want to provide free things to people, like I said, I was in nonprofit. I work in all aspect of nonprofit:
Right,
fundraising, project manager, office manager, doing stuff on the board, all of these things. I sit on several nonprofit boards, and what I tell people is this: a nonprofit is a business. Now let me just let that sink in. A
yeah,
nonprofit is a business. It's
mm-hmm.
just not for profit.
Yeah, it
Okay.
is.
But here's what we're saying: if a nonprofit doesn't actually make a profit, it would cease to be a nonprofit. That's a fact. Because
That's
every
good.
board meeting that I go to, guess what? One thing we're talking about: finances.
Yeah,
Because again, what you need to understand is
that's
somebody
good.
has to make the money in order to give the recipient the thing for free. It is
Yes,
only free to the recipient, but it costs a lot to those rendering the service. It's the same thing with Christ. Like you said,
that's
people say
facts.
salvation is free. The Bible never says salvation is free. Salvation is the
Mm-hmm.
most expensive thing thereof.
Yes, yes.
Salvation is free to you and me. So hear me right now. Don't take that soundbite and say this preacher's preaching error. But here's what I'm saying:
Mm-hmm.
salvation is free to us, but it costs God everything.
Yes, yes, yes.
Right? Matter of fact, it says we are not bought with corruptible things like silver and gold, but by the
Mm,
precious. Okay,
the
don't get
blood
me
of
twisted
Christ.
up in that.
Amen. Oh
Precious.
no, you can
So
preach here.
it costs God everything. You guess what I'm
Amen.
saying? So salvation is not free. Salvation came at a price. And that's why I
Yes.
think, especially in the West, we cheapen salvation and we cheapen grace.
Mm,
That's why we have a cheap thing. Because what do people do today most of the time? Whenever something is free, they don't value it.
yeah,
They don't value it.
yeah.
So what I tell people, no, here's what the scripture uses. Salvation is a gift from God. It never says salvation is free. Because when people hear free, they don't value it. That's why some people think they got to work for it because they want to earn it.
Right,
But
right,
here's what
right,
we're saying though. It's just like this. When I buy my wife a gift, I give my wife a free gift. It costs me money. It costs me
right.
time. It costs me looking at what is valuable.
Yes,
So here's the thing.
yes,
Think about you buying a diamond ring for somebody, and then you say, "Oh, I got a free ring." You didn't get a free ring. You got a
mm,
gift. But that
right.
that that ring cost you money from
That's
somebody.
that's good.
So we got to change it. It's like, listen, that's why I appreciate what Christ did for me. I
Yeah.
appreciate it more than ever because I realize the significant cost. That's why I don't less
Mm,
than cheapen his grace. I don't abuse his grace because I know
wow.
what it cost him. And
Mm,
so when I pay for something too, don't I value it differently based on what you pay for it? Of course we do.
yeah,
Of course we do. So
yeah.
people don't value what you have if you don't value what you have. And
Wow.
one of the ways we value things is why we put a cost on it. It's not that you are trying to shut people out, but again, you are not for everybody. The people, for example, if you want a
Hmm.
Mercedes Benz, you go shop at a Mercedes Benz dealer. But you
Right.
don't go to a Mercedes Benz dealer asking for price that maybe belong to a cheaper brand of car. Or let's
Right.
just even a bigger one. Let's say the Maybach or something like that, Maserati. Those cars cost a certain amount of money because
Hmm.
we value them as such. You
Mm,
don't go in there. I don't see they don't offer discounts most of the time like other people offer discounts, do they?
yeah.
Why? Because they're premium
Hmm.
and therefore they attract a premium clientele. So
Yeah.
if you want to have premium funds, you better come up with premium prices so that you can attract premium people. And
Mm,
for those of you who don't want it, another way I put it is this, especially if you want to blend ministry and business, what I say is this. You still got to find the people. It's like the Robin Hood effect, right? If you want to help the poor, you can't be poor yourself. Because if you're poor yourself, you need help yourself. And
that's
we're not trying to
facts.
be facetious. That makes a lot of sense. It means that you now need to go find the people who can pay for your stuff so you can provide a cheap or free service for those who need it.
Mm,
And that's what nonprofits do, right?
yeah.
Like I said, I remember one time I spoke at a Christian university and a nonprofit organization invited me to speak. So again, I told them, here's what I did. I said, even though we're doing this, I said, I'm doing it for free for you. This is my
Hmm.
donation to you. But here's what I want to show you also the value of this kind of idea. So I tell them, ask the students to pay something
Mm,
because they will all come and most of them will not do anything. But if they're not going to do anything with it, at least they parted with some money. So they valued it just a little bit more. So they charge about $30 or so, I think, for
hmm.
attendance. Now, here's the interesting thing now. We had a fairly good crowd there. When they came, the organization, of course, all of that money went to them. So I
Hmm.
said, let me show you how this works now. So after I give my talk, I tell people, I said, based because you guys are students, I would like you to register for this course at a student discount price.
Mm.
Brother, we made more money from the online course that people registered into than the students, all of the monies combined together of what
Right.
people paid to be there.
Right.
And
Right.
what I did, I didn't take any of that money. I donated it all to the nonprofit.
Right. Right.
But they were also leaving donations on the table. Now, if we had asked students to donate the money for the cause, most of them probably would not have given it.
Right.
But
Right.
because I offered them, it's a win-win situation now. So I say today, nonprofit has to work the same way, where it's
Yeah.
not you just give me donations. No, we today do nonprofit differently.
Mm.
Again, I sit on several nonprofit boards, and what we say is You got to create win-win situations. So as
Yes.
people give you donation, they should be receiving something tangible as well.
Mm-hmm.
Tangible as well. So in that case,
Right.
the students parted with their funds. We gave them course where they can learn how to take their gifts and talents and package it for others.
Mm-hmm. That's
That's
powerful.
the way.
That's powerful. Ever since I think, you did a presentation for our church some years ago, right?
Mhm.
It was virtual, right? Online. But I think you made that statement and you kind of told the story about Delta, right? And the realization you came to. And ever since then, like that phrase has been on my lips, right? Ever since then, that look, because it makes so much sense. The gospel is free, but to give the gospel is not free. It costs, right? It
It
costs some
costs.
money and time, like it costs, period. And
Yeah.
and when I came, we used to always go out and give out books all the time, right? Buy books, give out the books. And there was some point in time, I mean, the Holy Spirit just arrested me and helped me to realize that at some point in time, you have to have some type of funds coming back in, or you're not gonna be able to give out any more books. It doesn't
Voila.
matter
Voila.
because even if you want to give them out, you have to have it coming back in because your money is at a limit. The other
Is
person you're
that a
working with
limit?
is at a limit. That person's
That's
at a
right.
limit. So then, if you don't have any type, it's not self-sustaining ministry. It's not self-sustaining. It can't
Right.
sustain itself.
Yeah.
And anything that God is doing, it continually grows. Anything that stagnant is dying. There's no such
That's
thing
right.
as life moves and grows and builds and continues on, right? Death is stagnating and
Come on, brother.
retarded, right? And so that is the same thing when it comes to our ministry, our business. Period. Point blank. That's
Yeah.
the thing we have to come to realize. If money is just a tool, if you got one truck and you're doing a lot to help people, you're moving people, guess what you can do with two trucks then, right? You wouldn't
That's
look at two
it.
trucks as like,
That's it.
oh man, two trucks. Oh my goodness, like I'm splurging. I got two trucks that I can move people with. But we
Yeah.
would look at money that way and say, well, if I got the 1,000, but I don't need the 2,000. But if you got the 2,000, then what could you also do?
Come on now.
It's just a tool. That's all it is. We, like you say, we
Yeah.
give so much more power to this physical thing that really means nothing. We all know it actually means nothing, right? You
Right.
know what I'm saying?
Right.
We have just agreed that it means something at this point in time, but it
Yeah.
means nothing. We're just
Yeah.
using it to exchange. And so we're doing that just like we use a truck, just like we use pen and paper, just like we
It's
use
a tool.
anything else.
It's a tool.
It's a tool. It's a
That is
tool, man.
necessary. You can't even wipe your behind without money because you got to pay for toilet paper. It's toilet paper ain't free. I'm just saying, not to be facetious again, but again, everything we do in life, like I said, money is not a problem for God. Money is a problem with us. But
Right.
again, think of money as a tool to do good in the hands
Mm.
of God's people. It is food for those who are hungry, clothes for those who are naked.
Yes.
It is a way to give shelter to those who don't have any. So that's how I think. If we start thinking like that, I believe God can bless us with more resources, because
Yeah.
it's not just about you anymore. It's about what you can do for others.
Mm.
Okay?
No,
Because
that's
again,
fact.
if you have a negative view of money, why would God entrust you with more of it? Think about it, right? Because you want to use it properly.
Mm.
So that's what we are saying, and what my brother is saying here. We're not talking about splurging it on yourself only. Now that's part of it. You got to live, right? That's what your job gives you. But again, if you are able to, why not make more? My thing is, God give us this life so we can maximize it. So if you can do better, we should do better. It's just like if you can get a job making six figures, why would you settle for one that makes less?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make you a better person. So it means that maximize fully. Again, everybody does not have to be an entrepreneur, but everybody should be entrepreneurial because you
Yeah.
got bills and we all need to pay those bills.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I want you to also, can you kind of tell us, because you've been mentioning it kind of throughout this conversation. I know you have the book itself, Monetize Your Skills. But I love the course, right? You know what I mean? I'm a course person. That's something that, I love to be able to go and to watch the videos. And I've locked in with the Monetize Your Skills Academy. And it's been a blessing. The best thing for me is like I'm able to go back and watch again. Like, hold on, let me go back and just review this thing, right? Because I'm trying to do something and pull something out of me. I'm like, let me go get a refresher, right? Because I'm trying to go into this different direction, especially now over the last, 8 months, right? As I've been going in a different direction, I went back and reviewed the material, right? So can you kind of tell us a little bit about this Monetize Your Skills Academy? What is it, right? How can it benefit those individuals who are looking for something a little bit more than just that paper copy of the book?
Sure. And by the way, we're going to update that too, because right now we are in 2022 as the time of this recording. So we're going to come out with a 2.0 because again, the world has changed drastically now too.
Right,
so we're trying to add, especially, I'm really interested in the crypto and the digital space there that is creating a whole new thing. So I want to put something in there, chapter something that has to do with cryptocurrency. So anyways, let me just, before we get into that, I want to give you real quick before we go off this broadcast, I want to actually give you the framework, because here's what doesn't change. It's the framework, right? The framework are the principles of monetizing skills, right? So we say how to. So we can update the book by giving you current stats and those type of things, more current examples of other people. And, because I want to get, a lot of men, a lot of women, a lot of people from this background, that background, and so forth, so that everybody can see themselves represented as, hey, we can monetize our skills.
Right.
So basically, what I teach, though, the fundamental of the course or of the book or this whole ideology is this. There are 7 steps that you can take, right? 2 broad principles that you take. So one is product creation, and then one is, selling it, right? So we create the products in 4 steps, and then we distribute it or sell it in 3 steps. So that's how we have the 7-step process. So basically how we're going to do it, and they all start with D's, right? Easy to remember. That's how the preachers preach, right? So the first thing is you want to discover your unique gifts and talents. So we have several questions, questionnaires, and different things that you can use, Strength Finders 2.0, Career Direct, and so forth, to understand, and for those who are faith-based, your spiritual gifts, right? So first thing is discover how you are uniquely wired. What are those skills and talents? Okay. What education, expertise, and experiences you have. Write those things down, get clear on them. Next, you want to define now who you are called to serve with your gifts and talents. So some people put it the other way, but I said, no, you start with you, because when you start with others, sometimes you may feel tempted to go do something that you're not gifted at to supply that need. So I know I said, start with you. What are my gifts, my talents? How has God wired me? Now, based on my gifts and talents, what problem and for whom can I solve this problem? Based on what I can do. Based on my gifts and talents, who can I serve? And by doing that, here's why this is powerful. Because you also need to know who you are not called to serve.
Yeah.
So by clearly distinguishing who you're called to serve, you are saying who you are not called to serve.
Right.
That means exactly right. You are not called to everybody. I know we feel like that. Entrepreneur, all right, I'm called for everybody needs my product. No, they don't. No, they don't. You're not better than Apple. Apple is not for everybody. There's a certain type of people that love Apple product. I have both, but I use Apple for mainly media. Right? I'm more of the regular PC guy because I grew up on PC. But I'm just saying is everybody don't need your product. You want to find the people who that need your product the most.
Right.
So now after you've discovered, you've defined, now you need to design your gift, your product, your program, right? Your process, whatever it is, to solve now the clients that you've discovered. How do they need to be, what can be best for them? So in other words, like we said, the book, okay, that's good for readers, but like my brother said, there's some people who are hands-on. There's some people who want to learn, audiovisual learners. So that's why having a course, especially now, is good, because people can read and they can hear and they can see and they can do all that. And then simply you deploy. That's actually now getting it to market. That's actually putting it out there for sale. So that makes sense. So we have to know who we are, what is our gift, who is going to buy that gift, who's going to buy what we have, and then how are we going to package it for them? Is it going to be a book? Is it going to be a trading program, information? Is it going to be a speech? Is it going to be whatever it is? So all products have to go through this. Even this phone, right? You have this phone. It's like, okay, there are different ways of making phone. So they choose to wrap their stuff in this way. It could be big phone, small phone, etc. That's what we say in packaging. So for me, like I said, generally I start with a book, then I have a course, and then I go into training or coaching based on that. That's my simple and I just duplicate them, I multiply. So here we go, 1 book, 2 books, 3 books, there we go. So that's really it. You really don't even have to go to the next steps. Okay, that will be how you get something out to the market and be able to make some extra income. Well, listen, you don't have to do it full time either. Like we said, you can do this to make some extra money, pay off your bill and get XP faster, buy a car, get something else, or bless somebody.
Right.
That's why I was doing it in the beginning, because I just, my salary could not afford helping and blessing other people. So I had to find another way to actually, because that's even how I do it today. Most of the impact that I want to make, my brother, I cannot do it on a salary. I simply can't. And that's a why. So even with that why now, that's why I don't get hung up when other people have issues about money, because I know my why. Okay, because I'm making an impact. So my salary in general is used to provide for my needs, my family needs, my household, take care of that, and I live comfortable.
Right.
But all those mission work that you see us doing, and the orphanages that we're working with, and helping people with Bibles and planting churches and all of that stuff, salary can't do that. Salary can't do that. So that's what I'm saying. When we do this monetization outside of that, we are able to now do that kind of work. Okay. And then the last thing pretty much is that you simply go back and you look at what you have done. You want to improve. This is where version 2.0 comes in, right? You look it over, you see, you take some assessment, how can I improve this product, make it better? Because like I said, they have cars for 2021, 2022, etc. Every year they come up with something new. So that's what you do. And then you redeploy it into the market. And you just repeat that cycle over and over again. That takes the pressure off of you, doesn't it? It doesn't mean now so all you have to do is fit your thing now. This is why I love this, because you just fit your thing into that framework, whatever your thing. So I'm not selling you my way of doing anything. I'm selling you what I'm selling you on is you. But here is a system and a process that when you come with your unique thing, so you don't have to go try my Element Pro. You don't have to go and sell my product. You don't have to go and try to do it my way. You're doing it your way. But we have studied and looked at over 100 and something people who are professionals making money by monetizing their skills. And this is the framework that we discovered that all of them take in order to get their stuff on. So all you do is drop your stuff in there. That's it. So you can go to monetizingskills.com if you want to check the book out. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it on my website, Strategic Secrets. Wrong way. StrategicSecrets.com. That's it right there. You can go to StrategicSecrets.com or simply monetizeyourskills.com. You can download a free report there that will walk you through, how you can get started. You can get the course if you want to, or simply took what I just gave you. That's the steps. You follow those steps, trust me, you're gonna get something out of it.
Amen. That's awesome. By the way, one of the individuals in the book that you had interviewed, they were actually from my hometown, Monroe, Louisiana. Really? So I just wanted to let you know that. I remember I can't remember the lady's name. You know what I'm saying? But I remember I saw, it's like, well, she from Monroe? Hold up, So that was pretty interesting. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Even another frame of reference, like as I'm reading, I'm like, okay, I know I can do this now because somebody else from Monroe got interviewed in this book. So
there you go. There you go. And you see how simple that was to create a book? A lot of this stuff was other people's interviews. What I give you, my contribution was really the framework, but it's other people's story.
Right. So let me ask you a question. Because that's something that's on my mind now, right? How you said, right? Taking your speech or, even like you say, take the podcast and things like that. So what kind of framework, because you talked about how you took that article you had, it was like 27 pages, and then you kind of added to it. So what's kind of a good number though for something to actually be a legit like book, right? Because that's kind of the question that I'm thinking in my head. Like, it needs to be, what kind of size does it needs to be for it to make actually sense as a book?
Well, let me tell you this: it's the information that's worth it. It's not how many pages.
True, that's true.
I have a book up here in my cupboard here by Grant Cardone. It doesn't even have 50 pages. Right? So it is the content that you will pay for.
Right.
Yeah. So just to set you free, where in this day and age, by the way, people are not trying to read a whole lot of stuff.
Right.
So here's what I even say: if your book is 300 pages, make 3 books out of it, not one. Because nobody's
Okay.
reading 300 pages. Okay, that's another reason we condense. This one is
Good point.
272. Right, this is my biggest book.
Right. Right. Right.
I would say, if you wanted to feel a book, about 124 pages to 144 pages is a good range to make it feel, like get the feel of a book and where you can get a nice spine and so forth. But don't get hung up on you have to have a certain amount of pages. No,
Right.
It is the information that people need.
Okay.
So if you can get it into 50, why put it into 100?
True. Right. Because I'm paying for time too. I'm also paying for time. I want to learn it quicker. So if I can do it in 50 pages, don't make me read 100. That
right.
makes sense.
And another thing is, my thing is, because sometimes we think that by having more pages, it's gonna sell for more. Not necessarily. Again, listen, I buy all kind of stuff, brother. I mean, PDFs, for example. Most of the time, before all of this was what people would download PDFs. Sometimes you get a PDF for $17, and sometimes $95 for a PDF.
Right.
Not a book, a PDF file. So it is the content that people want. So, but if you want to have, something feeling legitimate, okay, no problem. I would say between 124 to 144 pages.
Okay.
160 to 175 is ideal. Anything above 200, I think, in this day and age, and it depends on the genre, of course, but in this day and age, it's better to make 2 books because most people simply don't read that many pages, or they will skim through.
Got you.
Leave that for academia. Academics is where they have all these hundreds and hundreds of pages of books. Students are tired of, right? But we have to read through them because you won't get a grade without it. So
that's true. Yeah. What do you think about I guess what's your thoughts about ebooks too? Because that's also something you're seeing a lot of people coming out with now as well. Not even going to the written book, stage. They're just like providing the ebooks.
That's right. And so that's why, again, it's quick to market. So and it does that make it easier? Because actually, one of the things I tell some people is that put it in an ebook, and if a lot of people buy it, then you put it in the other versions.
Gotcha.
So if you just want to test the market, the ebook is a good way to just put it out there. But my thing is, you cannot have. Here's what I say though: you can have the ebook without the print book, but you should not have the print without the ebook. In other words, because it's the same file you're using. Take the same file and just make it into an ebook or whatever the case is. So people can access it in multiple ways. People need to have access to stuff today in multiple ways. Again, my bookshelf, I have some books here, books in my garage. I love books, right? But on my device, I have hundreds of books.
Yeah, true.
I can't carry those in a bookshelf. So that really today is another good reason why we need more digital. But I don't think print book, even though I'm a proponent for technology and for digital, I don't think that printed books will ever go out of style. But they are diminishing, of course, yes. But I don't think because even for me, I am of the generation where I'm a hybrid between the younger population and the older. So for me, when I find a good book, I buy both of them.
Right.
I know I need to have it digitally to access, but for me, when I'm reading a book, I have to read it. I need to turn the pages, dog ear, underline, highlight. That's me.
Right.
That's me. Audiobooks, of course, I get through a lot of audiobooks easily. But if I'm going to spend time in reading a good book, for me, I still, at this stage in my life, I still need the printed version.
Right. And I mean, I guess it goes back to what you said when you talked about book, course, coaching. If you have them everywhere, then you have to worry because everybody can get whatever flavor they need. And it's so simple now to publish versus the ebook versus audio anyway. So it's like, why not have them all?
Exactly. And then you make more money because most authors, like I said, when I buy your book, I'm buying both versions because if it's good, I have to get it in print too. So instead of making again $10, you add on an extra $4 or $5 with the ebook. You just made more money there. You know what I'm saying? So family, listen, man. Thank you all. I appreciate all of you. Listen,
Thank you.
Go out there and take your gifts and talents. God has given you something to be a blessing
Yes.
to society. And the issue is not about money, but I know many people struggle with money. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
fact. Whether or not we want to hide from it, research has shown that the average American does not even have $1,000 saved in emergency
Yeah.
fund. That's a
Yeah.
fact. Right, most
Yeah.
everybody's living paycheck to paycheck, and if they're not, then trust me, they're in a whole nother class. But everybody is
Yeah.
fronting for the most part. People are broke, so why not take what you have? I'm telling you, becoming debt free doesn't mean you have to live on beans and rice. I don't think you need to live on beans and rice, because here's the fastest way out of debt: is making more money, not by just cutting back. You got to cut back, yeah, but
Yeah.
cutting back ain't helping you. You're still going to spend years and years paying the thing off. Because again, if you have a $20,000 loan and you're paying $50 a month, it's going to take you forever. But what if you can make an
Yeah.
extra $1,000? You are debt free in 20 months versus.
Yeah.
That's why you should make
Years.
more
Yeah.
money. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, man, I really appreciate you. I'm just gonna just read a quick spot, for, like I say, to pay some bills. You know what I'm saying?
Hey,
But when
go
we're
right
done,
ahead,
just
man.
give the people your information. How they can get in contact with you. And just leave them with a little word of encouragement, right? As we close out. But this episode of the Lion and the Lambo podcast is actually sponsored by Tip Makers 101. That's right, Tip Makers 101, where Christian principles fuel business practices. And I know you may be saying, right, like, am I a tent maker? Look, you're a tent maker if you have a gift, a talent, a product, a service, any skill that you can monetize, right? Then guess what? You are a tent maker. And if you're looking to follow in Jesus' footsteps and meet the needs of the community so that you can impact them with the everlasting gospel, then you are exactly what and who we're talking to. So we're meeting on Facebook every single day with other entrepreneurs in order to foster growth, collaboration, and strategic partnerships for increasing your brand awareness and your revenue, because we truly believe that every business is a ministry. And when you accomplish God's purpose for you in the world in the form of products and services that provide true value to your particular audience, then guess what? You are truly successful. So look, don't wait. Join us now over at Facebook at Tent Makers 101 Biblical Entrepreneurship. So, Pastor Chance, can you just kind of close us out? Just let people know where they can find you, and just leave us with a little word of encouragement for all those out there who are looking to maybe now leap into monetizing their skills.
Already, the best place is strategicsecrets.com. Again, strategicsecrets, plural.com. Go there. My website is there, webinars, all sorts of information is there, blogs, posts that you can read, encourage you, and so forth. What I want to leave with you is this: the world can be a better place if you would take your gifts and talents and use them in a way that not just only provides for your basic necessities. God has given every one of you a gift. There's no question about it. It may not, you don't need somebody else's gift. It may not look like someone else, but embrace who you are, embrace your talents, your gifts, your expertise that God has given to you, and use that. That is the thing that will bring you both fulfillment and financial remunerations. Take those gifts, give them back to the world, and watch what God does in your life. If God doesn't bless you, trust me, something is wrong with the equation. And I know my God says he does not lie. Numbers 23:19, Colossians chapter 1, verse Titus 1:2, as well as Hebrews 6:18. God does not lie. I have proven it, others have proven it. And if he says so, then it is so. Trust him. Get out there, step out in faith, give it a shot, that you have nothing to lose. God bless you.
Hey, thank you so much, Pastor Chance. And for everybody listening out there, man, remember we're on every streaming platform. Make sure you like and subscribe to the podcast. Follow it. Leave us a comment as well and let us know what you liked about this episode. And remember, the most important thing for you to do now is to go impact the world. Talk to y'all later.